What's good? Your boy FB, man. Tapping in, man. You heard? Got my man Uncle Nick with me. But before we get into it, you know what I'm saying, his salutation, allow me to, you know what I'm saying, send my, my blessings and my thanks to the man upstairs for allowing this to be possible. Sending my shout outs to the brothers and sisters that I left behind in those walls of anguish, man, known as those, prison cells. Nick, what's good, beloved?
Yo, I'm coolin', man. I'm out here doing what I gotta do, holding it down for the crown, you know what I'm saying? Behaving myself, being a model citizen, spreading love, and, all that good shit in between, man. We here to talk about some important topics. You know what I mean? I got a little break in my day, so I said, what's better to do than hit up the bro Frankie Boo, and let's talk that talk. You know what I'm saying? That vertical slang, that boomerang, you know what I mean?
All right, definitely, man. It's just crazy that, you know what I'm saying, our timelines, you know what I'm saying, were sort of alike. So, you know what I mean, I was able to, answer your call. And, like I said, man, you made me abreast of a few things, but yo, it's your show, so go.
I bet. So, I saw that the kid Carmelo Anthony, because that's what he is. He's a kid. He's 17 years old. Was released from custody yesterday. You know what I mean? He had $1 million bail for the situation with the kid Austin Metcalf. You know what I mean? That led to the fatality. And there's just a couple things that I wanted to run by you. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of what maybe you think in general about the case, but also too his claims of self-defense, because that's pretty much what he's claiming. And there's a couple different sides to the story. You know what I'm saying? There's always, you know what I'm saying, the truth, the lies, and then everything in between. You know what I mean? Your story, your story, So eventually we'll get the full breakdown because police are still processing the full well, putting all the information together for the full investigation, I guess, to get a final result of what they think's going on, to press the charges moving forward, yada yada yada. So I figured we get into that, break it down, and then just freestyle and flow from there. Plus, we also got a couple things going on with the El Salvadorian president. He came over here, he was popping and locking. You know what I'm saying? He was getting down for the come up, and he had some harsh words for these U.S. judges and different individuals regarding these terrorists and these people being deported and a host of other things. So we got an eventful show. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump into this clip right here. You know what I mean? Because I haven't heard anything from Carmelo Anthony's family in the sense of a public like response on camera. You know what I mean? He was walked out the court yesterday. He was silent. But the other side, the Metcalfs, they actually released a short clip. So I'm gonna get into what's going on, his release, what that family had to say in regard of like the whole situation, and then boom, we'll pick it up. What you think about that, Frankie?
It's all good, bro. I'm waiting on you, kid. My bad.
Let's get it popping and locking. Let's go, son.
Big
Okay.
man. Nice, man.
Boom,
Salutes, man.
boom, boom.
$12. Salutes, man. You heard? Appreciate y'all pulling up, man. As you pull up, man, hit that like button, man. Subscribe.
Developing right now in North Texas, the teenager accused of stabbing and killing a fellow athlete at a high school track meet in Frisco is out of jail after posting a $250,000 bond. 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony is now at home under house arrest. Anthony is charged with killing Austin Metcalf on April 2nd at a track meet. He told police it was self-defense. The next step will be whether a grand jury decides to indict. That could take several months.
Wow.
We're up, we're up, we're up, we're up.
Carmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say to the victims, to the family of the victims? Why were you armed, sweetheart? Carmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
Carmelo, would you like to say?
All right, so that's just a little quick breakdown.
Right.
Just the basic facts right there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So basically, these kids got into some type of altercation. As you can see from what they show with the footage, that's where it all went down. You know what I mean? I guess they had these different tents set up. They look like they're in close proximities to each other. And I guess one individual was supposed to be with his team. And, whatever the case may be, these kids got into it. Now, I know from playing sports, there's always team rivalries. Some people have beefs with different players based on different stuff. It all boils back to the team camaraderie and, different rivalries that have gone on through the years. But these two don't seem to have known each other. You know what I'm saying? So they saying that son went over there and pushed him or something to that effect. No punches were thrown, but he kind of pushed son out the way or grabbed him or something to that effect. And then
Let me get this correct.
son stabbed him.
Okay. So
So
the kid that
so
fortunately is unalive went over and put his hands on Karmelo, and Karmelo, allegedly.
well, I guess as he was approaching Carmelo reached in his bag and said, "Put your hands on me and see what happens." Something to that effect. So I guess that's when the kid was like, being a young kid, like, "Oh, what? You think, you know what I mean? Let's see what happens then." So I guess he went and pushed him or whatever. And then he had the knife concealed. The kid ain't see the knife from what the reports are. And then bada bing, bada boom, he stabbed him in his heart. And it was over pretty quickly. He died in the twin brother's arms.
Wow.
And then he ran away, threw the knife. And then some people caught him and waited for they held him till the cops came. And now here we are.
Okay. Big Dice, man. Salutes, man. Polo Dollar. Salutes, man. Or, yeah.
Now, what I'm going to say off the rip, in my opinion, from what I know about school, at any events or any, after school programs or even in the classroom, you're not supposed to have weapons on the premises of the school. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that kind of seems like it's a violation of RIP. You know what I'm saying? So, in the sense of saying, hey, it was self-defense, if you knew that you needed to bring a knife there, you might want to tell your parents. You might want to tell your track meet coach. You might want to tell some supervisors at the school. You might want to tell an individual that is a peer or somebody there that maybe could reach out to some type of staff member or something like that to de-escalate, defuse the situation, and also do some conflict resolution where you could come together, talk it out if there was some type of issue. But it seems that these two did not have any connection to each other. So in that sense, it seems a little premeditated in the sense of how the judiciary system would look at something. This is where I want to bounce this off you and, get the proper play, where if you're already showing up there, assuming you're going to have an issue, it isn't in the sense where, hey, this thing came upon me this moment and my life was in imminent danger and I reacted. You know what I'm trying to say? But maybe I'm not seeing the play correctly because, all the information isn't out right now, but I'm just trying to think about how can this be self-defense? Because technically it could be self-defense if someone is threatening your life, they run up on you, you're scared, and you just do what you got to do to get them up off you, and unfortunately you lose your life. And this person kind of brought it to themselves because they was getting it on, rumbling, and whatever the case may be, it got real escalated. But does a shove warrant you getting stabbed in the heart? And if you brought the knife on campus knowing you weren't supposed to have weapons and you didn't have an issue with this kid, then who was the knife for? And is this premeditated or how does this play out? In your expert opinion.
Well, there's a lot of, it's still early. Too early to really, render any kind of definitive, commentary on the situation. However, we can, or I can,
speculate.
Give a little bit of what I believe may have been some of, the reasons. Now, in this day and era, man, there are so many different components, negative components that are happening in these schools that our children are going to. And at the very forefront, it is, these actions of bullying or some form of bullying, whether it's verbal or actual physical. And also there's the component that, these kids, are or may have spoken to maybe a guidance counselor or somebody, a teacher, and may not have been, it may have been addressed, but it may not have been addressed in a way that it really did no long term, or had a long term effect with the individual that may have actually been bullied, if this was the case. So, with knowing that you have to return to school because the parents is like, and a lot of times, remember, the kids tell a parent, and the parents may say, "Well, listen, man, just go back to school, and for lack of better words, keep your head down, don't start nothing, and do your work and come home," so forth and so on.
That's very interesting, Frankie, that you say that. So your parent wouldn't tell you, "Hey, put that knife in your book bag, and if you got to cut a motherfucker up, handle your handle."
Well, listen. I'm not gonna say, because you do have some parents that say if they put their hands on you, you whip their ass.
Oh, that's different. They don't say stab him in the heart and kill him though.
Well, to a kid whose mindset and that said his mindset that is, I don't know how to fight, and I don't
Exactly. Yeah.
You dig? So I'm gonna take this weapon, whether it was a knife or whether it was a blunt object, as a small Louisville slugger. You dig? Whatever it may have been, it's the fact that they're in their mind saying, "Listen, man, I want to be able to, get out of this, hopefully unscathed." You dig?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, to conceal a knife or a bat, or what would they call them, little batons that you push the button and they fling out, whatever it was, man, we have to better be able to say or come to the conclusion of what the real reason was that even made him feel threatened enough to bring, a weapon on school property or a school campus. And, the sad thing is that, the person that weapon may have initially or intentionally been for, that may have been bullying him, if that's the case of the self-defense verbiage, wasn't the one that was on the other end of it. It was somebody that he didn't know that happened to do something that day, and that particular situation
Outcome was presented. Yeah.
not a question.
Well, there's another report that I saw. This is speculation as well, but it's from a pretty accurate source. But I didn't actually hear the audio, so I say speculation. But some people went down to the high school that he attended, and they were speaking with some of the students, and the students are really shocked because they said, they wouldn't expect Carmelo Anthony to react that way. He's known for fighting. Like, he gets into his little scuffles and his fights in school, and he be getting it on and popping, but he's not out there like with the hammers and the knives and blades, whatever you want to call it. And, he's more of a knuckle up type of guy when he has to handle his handle. So, he's, I guess, from the kids that go to the school, he's known to get down a little bit, allegedly, or whatever the case may be. So, with that being possibly a factor where maybe he is a little rah-rah or he isn't, it's just interesting for me to like sit back and just watch how the whole self-defense play is going to come together if they start bringing in other witnesses, or what do they call it, material witness, or this, that, and pop, 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 boop, boop, to kind of break down the character of the individual, to maybe place the jury in his mind state as to what he was thinking and his intentions were that day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely makes sense, man. Angie, baby, good afternoon, man. Thanks for pulling up, man. Nick, listen, when it comes to these type of situations, again, I'm even sitting here because somebody that I was speaking to earlier today was like, they had lent their opinion on, listen, bro, for him to be a black kid or whatever the case may be, was there actually some kind of bullying going on or something to that avail? And as you just said, he's known for fighting. Now, what we don't know as well is, were these fights, initiated by others, and he, and that's what was his alternative, was to fight, to let them know that, you're not just going to bully me, or you're not just going to take advantage of me. So he found himself in a lot of fights in school that these people are, conveying now with those individuals that went up to the school. And
I had my homeboy Fernando back in the day. He came from Puerto Rico. He didn't really speak English good, but he was always fighting. But a lot of the fights wasn't because of him, it's because he didn't speak well, and people was messing with him, and he just kept getting into a lot of fights. But he seemed like the troublemaker because he was winning. You know what I'm saying?
And see, and down there, and I don't know the vicinity of Texas that he lives in. But you know, come on, man, you know, and I don't know how predominantly white the school may be, or the race
Hmm.
of blacks and other, you know, no ethnicities that are
They
in it.
culture, they politics down there, how they rock with each
So,
other. Yeah.
so if these are things that were transpiring, and Carmelo just has the fortitude and the mind and the courage to say, well, I'm not just going to let you continue to, you know, tell me that I'm not going to use the bathroom, for lack of a better instance, or going to gym class, or you're going to keep, you know, every time I see you or you see me, you're trying to, you know, snatch my knapsack, whatever. Nah, we ain't
Yeah.
doing. So now we gonna fight, and every time if I have to get my respect that way, we fight. We're gonna do what we have to do. So yeah, man, you know, there's just, you know, there's a lot of things that haven't been uncovered yet. You know, my man.
Well, I actually have some footage from the family that I want to run real quick because, like I said earlier, I like the Carmelo's family actually hasn't come out and directly made a statement to the media or sat down with anybody on camera, but the family did, and I think it might maybe they could add a little more information to the situation. This is
Real quick, because my man made something. You know, he had made
oh,
a
sorry, go ahead.
point earlier, and I said, "Yo, you know what? I would definitely." I let him know that I was going on live with you because you had already had set this up. And he was wondering, like, "Yo, bro, that, you know, it's kind of strange. You know what I mean? That, you know, the kid even got his bail reduced." And I was like, "Yeah, that to me, that kind of lends a little belief that there may be mitigating factors that may be coming out later, that the attorney and the district attorney already knows, that maybe there was some kind of bullying
Oh
or
well, no. What those contributing factors
one
were
second.
is that the family was saying that they had financial problems. They weren't really well off in that way, and that he had never had prior arrest or prior interaction with police officers, and this bail seemed a little extreme considering his good track record.
Well,
So the judge, which is a Republican judge, by the way, black lady, she took that into consideration and said, "Okay, I'll lower the bail to $250,000 out of fairness." So those were the contributing factors that led to her deciding to drop the bail to 250,000 opposed to keeping it at 1 million.
okay.
Now let's say he would already got caught with a hammer, maybe has been on probation or something else. That bail going to sit maybe at 750,000. But the fact that he was a track star or a kid, you know, pursuing academia, and maybe had a couple hiccups here and there, but stayed out the way of the law and all these different things, they took all that into consideration, saying, okay, this is warranted for this situation.
You know, listen, I will
Does
be
that make
fair.
sense to you?
It makes sense. Now,
Yeah.
here with my logic. I understand that different states have different laws they apply by. I also know that Texas is one of the states that are, you know, they very, very strict in their law system, you know. And nonetheless, you know, yes, there's not usually when people get a bail reduction for murder, like I've seen a number of kids, good kids, athletic kids that were, you know, that wind up catching murders while either in the street, in school, so forth and so on, that gets no bail when it comes to a murder. A murder is usually either an exorbitant amount or it's a no bail situation until you've sat for a number of months
Yeah.
and discovery
The
material.
expeditious
Hold on,
turnaround was,
please, Nick.
yeah.
Hold on. And certain materials are manifested to show mitigating factors that the attorney and the judge can't just dismiss. So when looking at this from my perspective, and this is my opinion, I understand, because 8 times out of 10 doesn't no family, you know, regardless, you know, and I mean, unless just the neighborhood or the crime is something of a how you call it, a high profile case where the public just knows that you got the money, your family is of wealth, and so forth and so on. Like, nobody's naturally, the judge usually is not knowing the real financial straight or excessive financial money abilities that a person has until later on in time. So if this was something that the judge or the district attorney, approved, my experience is that I want to believe that from the onset, there is something that is probably weighing in favor, not just because he was a kid who comes from a good track record, had no real record within the system. Those are components that are definitely looked at, but with the life, and I'm not certain yet whether this kid that has been unalived was either white or black, which it should make a difference. Unalive is the unalive. But if it was a Caucasian individual, yeah, things become a little bit more,
Well,
harsher for the individual who committed the crime. So
well, speaking on that, do you think the racial component of this case might have expedited the judge and the judicial system down there to say, hey, it would be of our best interest, maybe, with dealing with this case, to see if we could set a proper bail that is attainable for this family, so this person can kind of get out of Dodge. We don't have to deal with the protests that he's locked up and this and that, and we can kind of get this shit to die down a little bit. He's sitting on house arrest, pop, 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 pop. Certain people that want to activate and be activated in the hood on the activist tip, they're satisfied because they feel like, okay, justice has been done and he could actually get a proper trial, due process, and not be treated like a thug off the streets just off GP. You know what I'm trying to say? So maybe there's something like that on a political tip where they say, hey, this might just be in the best interest. Because I never heard of Frisco, Texas. It sounds like a small kind of town. And now they got the whole media worldwide spotlight on them. You hear me?
Well, with that, also understand that's a two-edged coin. Now, yeah, they can possibly or potentially that may be their way of thinking. But what about the unalive family who's saying, whoa, hold up, what are y'all doing? That's
they just did a little interview. I wanted to run that when you get done with your thought.
Okay, well, yeah, because I would like to see that, because I would like to see what their verbiage is and what are they saying about the whole, bail dropping, because usually the family of the unalive, they're not trying to hear that. They're trying to hear, they're trying to hear you sitting down in prison until, you go to trial, so to speak, even though the law has to, do what it does. But you usually get an adamant pursuit of no.
Yeah.
In prison, and I especially if in any way this thing becomes somewhat racially motivated. You dig them being them and him being him, and that and that. So yeah, get to your clip, bro. Let's go on and dissect.
Yeah, because I also saw people bringing up cross references between the Trayvon Martin case as well. There's a lot of things going on online, but we'll get to it all. Hold on.
Had a great hunting trip with me, him, and Austin. And he said, I'm going to come over and see you this weekend. I said, okay, I look forward to it. And he said, I love you, Dad. I said, I love you too, son. Those were the last words I ever heard from him.
We were just one person. We did everything the same. We were just exactly alike. Like we had we had a couple of differences, but most of the stuff we did together, the stuff we had, it's just, we felt as one person. So it's just like we just connected so well in everything we did.
His commitment, his work ethic was about football. The boy stayed in the gym. The boy led the team. He was the leader. He was the glue. He was the driving force of that defense. He carried that team.
Yeah, every time.
Had a great hunting trip with me, him, and Austin. And he said, I'm going to come over and see you this weekend. I said, okay, I look forward to it. And he said, I love you, Dad. I said, I love you too, son. Those were the last words I ever heard from him.
We were just one person. We did everything the same. We were just exactly alike. Like we had we had a couple of differences, but most of the stuff we did together, the stuff we had, it's just, we felt as one person. So it's just like we just connected so well in everything we did.
His commitment, his work ethic was about football. The boy stayed in the gym. The boy led the team. He was the leader. He was the glue. He was the driving force of that defense. He carried that team.
Every time we go to the gym, I get stronger, I get better, I get faster. I got an accomplishment in the weight room.
All right. Yeah. Nick.
Had a great hunting trip with me, him.
Nick, you there? Yeah. Well, I don't know what's going on with my boy Nick, but I now know that this is a football player, a white football player, kid, who was in the prime of his life and so forth and so on. And it's unfortunate that this situation happened, and these kind of things are happening, man, everywhere now, man. It doesn't, as this show, man, a small town in Texas called Frisco, that I never was familiar with until now. Is just crazy because now two teenagers are one teenager is, has been unalive, man. My condolences goes to his family, and loved ones. Another teenager's life has already taken a turn, where now he's going to have to deal with the judicial system and what may come out of it in the form of, a prison system, a prison sentence, and a negative, jacket, consisting of a murder, a felony, it's bug, man, because again, you hear me often say, and let me be fair. I don't know what the circumstances was that created this dilemma, so I don't want to, place too harsh of analytical view on what transpired. Got you back, huh? That's what's up.
Yeah.
But what I will say is this. Whatever may have been transpiring between this individual, Carmelo Anthony, and others at school prior to this event that happened that caused this young man to be unalive, still carry with it the mindset that a lot of our young brothers and sisters are not familiar with the ramifications and the avenues, the exhaustive measures that could be taken or should be taken in order to try to get some kind of assistance before they make decisions or before they make impulsive
Decisions, yes.
decisions or actions that
That take them to a next level. Yeah.
that cannot be taken back. You dig? And that's the thing. That's the thing
Well,
that
that's the one thing that stands out to me out of all this, Frankie. You telling me there was no parents, there was no supervision, there was no team coach, there was no adult there to step in and intervene and de-escalate this. That's the other thing where once this is all said and done, somebody's getting their ass sued. You know what I'm saying?
if those protocols were
Yep.
played out. Now, if Carmelo went through a number of individuals prior to him exploding, or
Yo.
as we said earlier, it's unfortunate that this kid Austin was not,
Hold on. Waiting for Frankie to click back in. Hold on. What's going on with this layout right here?
Yeah. You hear me?
Bang. Yo, Frank, you there, son?
Yo, you hear me?
I don't know. This live stream is a couple technical difficulties right now. Bear with us, people.
Yo.
Yo, Frankie.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. My bad. We having a little. I don't know what it is, man. When we be flowing from the scrolls, they
We
be
don't,
hitting us with these technical difficulties.
the devil don't have the devil has no room here. So let's keep on going. We here for the people. Let's push it.
Yeah, baby. So,
Yo,
yeah,
Mayor Lincoln, real quick, Mayor Lincoln, shout out, man. Salutes, man. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Hit the subscribe button. Definitely, man. Those that's in the building, man, send your verbiage, man. Write it out, man. You know, you shoot, we shoot back. You dig what I'm saying? Put your comments in the comment section. You heard? Go ahead, Nick.
yeah. So, for me, you kind of look at that where, like I was saying, there's got to be some lawsuit that's coming behind this because, for you to even get into the event with a weapon, that's boom, something off the rip. Where, like, not to get distracted or get this or get that, but the Troy Ave situation when Tax Stone sneaks into the venue with the joint, like in the same sense when your kids are going to a track meet or you're going into a nightclub or an establishment like this, there's supposed to be, parameters set up where everybody's protected. Bottom line at the end of the day. So that has no implication on his case. But what I'm saying, once this is all said and done too, there's got to be some civil suits and different things coming on both sides from both families. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I did hear the family say, because that clip was jigging on us, you know what I'm saying? In the end, he says, I feel heartbroken about my son and everything that happened. This is horrible. A parent never is supposed to bury their child. But he said, I also feel the pain for their family as well, because their child's life is over in a certain sense, because this is forever changing both families, basically.
And you know what? And I respect that because that takes a strong person, and I respect it even more, as you said, and I recognize that being a small town in Texas, I wouldn't think that, you know what I'm saying, like this whole climate of things in at this time is so, everything is either so racially motivated or so hostile. You dig? So
Yeah.
here a person of his color persuasion, you know what I'm saying, give that sentiment to say that I also feel a way for the other family, man, is like, yo, man, I salute that, man. I salute his family for, still having compassion. You know what I mean? Still having, not a so-called negative outlook, just at the fact that this young man did something that has changed his life and his family's life forever. But you dig what I'm saying? Realize that it's also changing that young man's life and his family life, and that I think that was big. So, again, man, I salute
Yeah,
that.
well, you definitely right about that because I was watching a clip the other day where somebody stole somebody's car and they totaled it and they went back and they were talking to the person and that person, just because you stole their car, they was like, no, lock his ass up. Yo, no, hell no. There was no compassion and it was just a smashed up car. Imagine losing your flesh and blood, So you're right. That was definitely deep, impactful, and meaningful within this situation. That takes a lot of strength to do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many things pulling you to be negative towards the situation and angry and maybe want to lash out. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So on that note, I guess we kind of just gotta let this play out a little bit and see where everything kind of goes from there. Because there's also another dynamic to the situation where there's an activist that's alongside him. I'll play the clip again. You'll see that he's the individual that's actually leading him out of the jail in the blue suit.
We're up, we're up, we're up, we're up.
See, now that individual in the front right there with no tie and his joint open and all that, his name, I believe, is Dominique Alexander, and the family has somehow associated themselves with him throughout this process because he's like an activist down there in Dallas and stuff like that. But, that was the other thing that I was going to ask you based on this individual's past. Do you think is good for the family to be associating themselves with him, even though he's known for being an activist and pushing the limit for certain stuff? Because, he has different arrests, from the past for like child abuse, you know what I'm saying, and 2-year-old domestic violence,
let's
forgery, theft,
pause. Let's pause
different
right there.
things. No,
Anything that,
hold on, Frankie. Let me put it in context so you can understand what I'm saying. So with that going on, and then sometimes the rebel rousing of the community activity with the police and all different stuff, as a parent, I should say, would like, because my child's life is on the line right now. You know what I mean? Do I really want to associate myself with any negativity or any outside source that may be looking at this as a clout situation, opposed to, yo, this is really my child and he could go to jail or be facing capital murder or something crazy? You know what I mean? And like I said, if this was a different type of situation, all fine and dandy, everybody passes their past, but you've got a teenager, you're a parent, and you know this person is associated with this and that, and any negativity that could be thrown your way by prosecutors or in the media or any shade is not going to do your son good at all. So how much is it worth having that activist there? Is it truly important, or is this ultimately going to be like a sore eye a little bit within, because the affiliation of the situation? As a parent, from a parent's perspective, protecting your child in this high profile case?
first and foremost, man, I'm not from Texas. So maybe there's things that this family or family members know, trust, respect, and appreciate
Mm-hmm. Okay.
about this guy and what he has done in Texas in other, cases or situations. Um, as far as the being afraid, we were speaking about this on another platform, maybe that last week or a few days ago, whatever, about that's what hinders us a lot, man, as black and brown people, that a lot of our people have become afraid of using individual or sources of individuals that can help us because of something that they may have been accused of in the past. You dig? One of the reasons now that I believe the laws are now trying or even taking
That
into consideration giving felons back their privilege to bear arms is because you have so many groups and so many people saying, yo, hold up, man. I done did all my time in prison. I done paid all my restitutions. I done did everything that the letter of the law said I had to do in order to become an upstanding law-abiding citizen again. So
no,
how
that's a beautiful thing, Frankie. But as a parent,
you
you
listen?
are responsible for this young man, and you've
So
already
as
allowed
a
him to
parent,
go out with a knife.
obviously, as
He's
a
killed
parent,
somebody,
this is where
and
I'm getting
now
at
you're
with.
aligning yourself with
Yo,
somebody
whoa,
that
whoa, whoa.
may
That's
have a
still
checkered
you
past.
can't state why they should or shouldn't have done what they have done. As a
No.
parent,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're aligning yourself with somebody with a checkered past
it doesn't.
that
Oh,
is
listen,
known
brother.
for rallying things up. How does
Listen.
this benefit your child? Is
We
what
could
I'm
say
saying.
that. We could say that about our president. He has a checkered past. His financial standing.
Yeah. But his kids aren't on trial for murder.
Right then.
So
So until this
when your
plays out,
child is on trial for
no,
murder,
no,
you
no,
got to
man.
think
Until
like,
this
yo,
plays out,
who are my kids getting aligned with right now?
okay, then at the end of the day, guess what? If that was a parent, I would have been I would have probably been more in tune with what was happening in the school that may have had my son do what he just did, as opposed to now having somebody. So whatever the case may be, at this point here, they felt comfortable with that man walking their child out of that facility. So
Mm.
for whatever reason, it stands for something. We may not know as the public as of yet why they allowed that to happen, but guess what? Maybe everything that we are hearing, that you heard prior to this moment, is something that was just uh, smoke, smoke in the wind. You dig?
Oh no. He was convicted of all these things
Okay,
and
so then
pled guilty.
all right. So one or two things happen. Either the parents do know, or they or either they do know and they don't care, or they don't know at this point. And guess what? He just got out in front of it, and who knows? Maybe that may be his last appearance, with the kid. You dig what I'm saying? So, you know,
Oh,
again,
that's very true too, Frankie. Good perspective. You never know. That's why I wanted to run it by you. Maybe the parents aren't abreast of all this, and maybe they will be soon.
right,
You
you
never
know,
know.
again, like I said earlier, you know, it's a little too early for any real, you know, factual, you know, determinations or verbiage. What we're just going through right now, you know what I mean, is just basically trying to give some kind of fundamental clarity to, you know, to the listeners, to those that
So, so in totality, from what you've seen so far, do you think there's a strong self defense case here?
I mean, I can't say that as of yet because
Okay.
we haven't even heard, you know, we know the charges, but we don't know, you know, too much of how these charges came about aside from the fact of what they showed in that clip at being at that stadium or whatsoever.
Oh, well, what they do have now, which will be coming out, I should say probably pretty soon, somebody has video of the entire situation that happened, and that got turned over to the police as well.
Okay,
So
again,
they're reviewing that video as well right now, and you know all that's going into the play whether they're actually gonna what's it called, indict him and pursue
indict him because
the
he hasn't even been indicted yet. And
nah, not at all.
that's a big part of the whole criminal process. You
Yeah.
dig? And just to be kind of certain, if you know, when did this actually happen?
I believe about 2 weeks ago, roughly.
Roughly 2 weeks ago. So yeah, you dig, like, yeah, you know, as the grand jury hears the case, then more evidence is going to be made available. You know, but what is, you know, what does surprise me again is the fact that he was able to get a bail reduction that quick. That quick. You
Well, I
dig?
think it actually speaks to the merits of Carmelo in a certain sense and what he's been able to do and the type of child he's been for most of his life. Because just because you fighting all the time don't mean you ain't an ace at mathematics and always get scientist of the month when you put your project together. You know what I mean? Just because you get into some trouble here and there don't mean that you're not a honor roll student, a top athlete, and all that. So all those contributing factors probably played a part. You know, people have anger in life, but it doesn't mean that you aren't a great human being.
No,
Some people just defending themselves.
no,
You know, so
absolutely.
yeah, there's a lot of things that probably contribute to why he got that bail reduction as well.
I'm
And
on.
it has to do, and it is how would they say, the content of his character that, you know, the judge saw that was like, okay, I feel comfortable making this move.
Absolutely. So again, you know, like I said, you know, there's a lot of different, you know what I'm saying, elements that hasn't even been brought to the forefront yet. What I do say is for a murder that you said and I said, and I believe we can agree with, yes, you had a weapon inside of a place that you shouldn't have had a weapon at. You dig, which is one negative, you know, that I could put in, you know, on the slide of Carmelo. However, you dig what I'm saying? What may have transpired at that event, the fact of, you know, anything that may have already been made privy to the defense team, as well as the judge and the attorney, the district attorney, in the form of this person that had footage of the actual event taking place, or so forth and so
Yeah.
on, may be mitigating circumstances early because, as I said, that's a murder. That somebody has been unalived. It's not. It's a very rare. It's very rare to see somebody be charged 2 weeks prior with a charge that
Of that
serious,
magnitude, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then 2 weeks later get a bail reduction, a significant bail reduction,
And raise $500,000 in the
and
process.
raise the money or have the money to get out. Well, really, on a $250,000 bond is 10%. You know, no more than usually 15%. But yeah, 10%. So that would be 25,000. Is it a relatively lot of money? No, but
Well,
for some people, as I looked and listened to something earlier with a man that played, and it's like to live in this gated community that they live in, you know, his family had to have some kind of money.
Well, see, yo, Frankie, man, yo, get out my head, son. Yo, I just about to throw this. Yo, you over here on some psychic shit right now. You know what I'm saying? I was just about to throw this up on the screen. Because a few people, I guess, because there's a high-profile case, the family felt the need to move to a luxurious gated community with a lot of security and different things, and pop, 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 boop, 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 and I guess some of those neighbors and different people are saying that they would prefer them not to be there. That the young man just bought a new car. I don't know how they know it's his car, but they're saying there's a new car out there with paper tags, da da da, boop, boop, boop. Amazon is constantly dropping off all these packages now, and I guess the public within that community is starting to look at things from a certain perspective. Do you think that could ultimately sway people's minds moving forward as well? Like these little subtle moves and different things,
I
or do
mean,
they even matter?
there's no way the public can't be swayed, whether this was about me or you in this day of time or Carmelo. Everybody has a camera. You dig? So,
No, I'm talking about the funds being spent and all that.
that. What I'm saying is, regardless of the camera or the Google, like there's so many different ways for people to get information, to find out information, or whatever the case may be. So
Be all up in your business, Frankie. Got you.
exactly. You dig what I'm saying? So that's just the day and time we live in, and that's even more reason for those of us that like to chat everything on on your phone or on a phone and then upload it to TikTok, Facebook, or any one of the other entities that exist. And then
Yeah, upload it to the YouTube or to the Instagram. Yeah.
his people, his people are them living there. It's gonna be some stuff, some slack now, because you're living in a gated community that's probably probably a nice community that usually doesn't have a lot of traffic going
Oh,
through
it's a
there.
$1 million home.
Right. So everybody in there, either they know or they don't know one another because they don't even associate with one another. So it's, so to have this kind of traffic coming through and so forth and so on, I think it's more about the fact that, their peace is being disturbed more than anything.
Because the media coverage outside, people constantly standing around, the
Right.
paparazzi in the bushes, dudes
Right.
sitting in a treetop on the side, and you and Bill are just trying to walk your little Bichon to the minivan and do what you do. It does seem like privacy invasion. But then again, at the end of the day, everybody's entitled to move where they can move and do what they do if you can afford it. And it might be the right move for the family to make, in the sense if you got this high profile case, you can't just be living out in the open, without the protection and without a certain guarantee that there's parameters set up to not guarantee your safety, but secure your safety within certain measures, you know what I mean, of the law. So, at the end of the day, you come past that property, you come up in there, you doing something crazy. Now, we don't need no more bodies dropping, so just leave them alone, you know what I'm saying? And let them do what they do. And I'm pretty sure the community will get over it at a certain point if they're just minding their business, doing their 1-2 and chilling out, you know what I mean? I know it's shocking for people because they're like, oh my God, this is in our little fucking gated community. But, if you just show and prove, and you actually get to know the people and stuff like that, because this is going to play out for a while, you actually might make some friends and build another community down there within what you got going on. So, there's always a positive within everything, I think.
Yeah, without a question. But everybody don't look at things that way. I mean, some people would rather just be left alone and don't want your BS knocking on their door, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think
and the other persuasion. You know what I'm saying? They definitely don't like that, Frankie. Your dog could take a shit on the sidewalk and you ain't got a bag. I remember one day, son, my dog went to the bathroom. I ain't have a bag. I went right back to my spot. It was 3 white ladies standing there. Oh, I thought that. And she went and told the neighbor, and they was looking at it, examining it. What did he eat for breakfast? What is that? And man, I said, yo, I was coming right back. I said, oh, thank you, sir. I said, man, yo, for any little thing, son, they be on you. So, you know, at the end of the day, something of that magnitude, you already know how they rolling. But all right, so you know,
GP,
I like your
salute, man.
breakdown.
GP,
Yeah.
man, salute, man. Thanks for pulling up, kid.
Yo, most definitely. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm not checking the comments, but I know Frankie's on the one too. I'm out here walking around. I got to look at the ground. I got to make sure, you know what I'm saying, everything's moving smooth. But and I'm not putting myself in potential danger because it's wild in New York right now. But yeah, I like your breakdown on that. I think we were both very fair. You know, we try to present the well, I try to present what I knew about the situation in totality, and you know, just let everybody get the 411, and then everyone can make their own decisions on what they think. I guess moving forward, once more pieces of information are placed within the puzzle. So this will definitely be something we will be covering and keeping people abreast to as the updates come in, and as you know, more as the story develops, I should say.
Facts, big facts, man. You know, again, man, I send, you know what I'm saying? I send my prayers to both families, man. My condolences, man, to the Austin family, you dig? I also, you know what I mean, send my prayers that, you know what I'm saying, the little brother Carmelo, man, and his legal defense team and his family can find some kind of, you know, not only closure in this, man, but you know, that they make out, man, that they make out, you know what I'm saying, as well as they can possibly make out, man. And yeah, man, it's just an unfortunate situation, man. That, you know, I think that, you know, a lot of the young kids that's, again, man, you know, that's paying attention to vertical talk, or, you know, going to these, you know, so whatever you going to, or whatever you hear that's on a positive note, man, trying to tell y'all, man, about, you know, the devils within the street, man, the devil elements, the devilish people. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just pay more attention, man, and get more in tune with, you know, the better side of things, as opposed to trying to emulate and imitate the negative aspect.
Gangster. Yeah,
Yeah,
trying to be gangster. Just be nice. Just be kind. Be a kid. You know,
fact.
that's it, man. Cause I tell the young kids all the time. I'll be stopping them in the street. Some of them I know, some of them I don't. They might be doing something, whatever. And I say, yo, man, you get to be a kid once in your life, and it's very short. You get to
Right.
be an adult for a long time, homie. You know what I'm saying? Yo, embrace just being a child, man. Embrace the silly shit. Embrace, you know, all the stuff that comes along with just learning about life on an innocent level, man. Don't rush to be a grown up. How Pac says, Shorty want to be a thug. I'm telling you, it ain't gonna pan out. You know what I mean?
They
At the
said,
end of the
what's that
day,
old song Mama used to say? Take your time, young man.
young man,
Yeah,
don't rush to get it all.
don't rush to get old, baby.
Yo,
Yeah,
Frankie, you know, don't get me up in here singing. You know, I like to sing my song sometimes. Yeah, that's my who's that? OJ something. I forget his name. Anyhow, yeah, that's the old joint right there. But also on that tip, I also wanted to get into this whole deportation El Salvadorian mega prison situation, and you know, because he touched down on Monday, you know, and when we did our show on what was that, Sunday, you know, we had got into some of the aspects of how these things are affecting the urban community, and you and I had very similar outlooks on certain things, you know what I mean? So I just want to break down
that's kind of rare, ain't it, Nick? I don't be
Nah,
shit.
nah, 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 nah. A lot of times we got a lot in common, Frankie. Believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? But what I love about you is that you're older than me. You have a different perspective, and you know you're we didn't walk the same paths in life. So you know what I'm saying? You got a whole different perspective. I got a whole different perspective, but you're very universal within your breakdown. So a lot of times I might not see something exactly the way you see it, but the way you break it down, you open my eyes to stuff, and I appreciate that. And I hope the audience catches that too, because you're very insightful, and it's delightful to sit up here and build with son. You know what I mean? And get it down, get it popping. You know what I'm saying? Just do my one too. You picking up what I'm throwing down, Frankie?
Man, if you don't get to the next situation, man. Dice,
All right,
man.
all
Salute,
right,
salute.
let's get into this, Frankie. I'm feeling good. All right.
Plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported. The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost,
He was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you could release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin.
I think that was pretty straightforward, Frankie.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yo, let's get them a salute because they up there doing that vertical talk. You know what I'm saying? Yo, that joint was real short, concise, precise, and it wasn't much to talk about. What you talk about? I'm supposed to smuggle terrorists into the United States, and you see the woman talk about, yo, son, 2019 and the appellate court, plus the lower court with the immigration joint said, yeah, this who you down with. And in order to get some type of asylum, I guess you had to oblige that because you was beefing with the 18th Street dudes. But you try to turn it into some nice little story that your mom was selling papooses or some shit. It's like a beef patty down there, basically. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep it layman's terms. And they had a little business popping, and these dudes was really on her neck, and you couldn't return because that's why you had to leave. Come on, son. You know this from your personal experiences dealing with the government. They're not just pulling your name out of fucking hat. You know what I mean? Like, they got very, very, very credible sources and individuals coming through. And if it was that easy, they'd be saying everybody MS-13 or this or that. And it'd be like 200,000 of y'all motherfuckers deported. But it's 500 here, 1,000 there, 200 here, 100 here. You know, they getting them out in bunches and stuff like that. But, you know, in essence, how do you feel about that whole breakdown?
I believe that we in this country, and let me say this first, you did, because I contributed to a lot of foolery, you know what I mean, in my younger age in time. So I don't want nobody to feel like, okay, now that he's got this, you know, way of living now, that, you know, that he removes himself from those that are still or may be younger than me that may be following those same footsteps. Like it was, man. You dig? Like I heard it when I was coming up. You dig? Like, you know, yo, certain things, man. You deserve, man. You deserve what you get. You know, you said earlier, you know, karma. Karma's a real thing, man. You dig? When it comes to these people from other countries coming in, like I said, man, I've said this a number of times, and this is what I stand on. When we look at a number of different cultures, nationalities that come to the United States, whether they be Africans, Haitians, so forth and so on. The ones that stand out to me the most in this day and time are Latin Americans, because they're coming over here and they're doing all this foolery.
Frankie, I was just telling somebody the other day. Oh, my bad.
They're robbing, they're raping, they're doing everything under the sun, and a lot of it
narcos,
and so forth and so on, right?
Human trafficking, all that.
And it's not to say that maybe some of these other cultures may not be doing this, but you're not hearing about them on the scales that you are hearing about these individuals that's coming from the El Salvador and the Honduras,
Venezuela, Nicaragua, all these places. Yeah.
So I gotta at least give that fairness of saying that they're coming over here, and for the most part, they're doing what they came over here to do: get jobs, make it better. You know, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that they make all the money over here, send it back to their country, then go live back in their country.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
Okay? But but guess what? I'd rather that than having to worry about one of my family members leaving out of the house and being drug inside of an alleyway,
Two,
rape,
200%, Frankie.
forth, and so I'm
And,
with
and
that.
and this is the point that I was making to somebody else. I might even mention this to you. I said, "Yo, son, you heard of the Senegalese syndicate? You heard of the Nigerian boys? Out here doing what they doing. You heard about the Fulani cartel?
Nah,
Nah, these African brothers, you know what I'm saying, is coming over here. I fuck with Africa heavy because that's a whole nother story. But I employed a lot of African people when I was doing what I was doing. And I learned that them brothers speak 5 languages, 6 languages sometimes. They very cultured. They're peaceful dudes, man. For the most part. And they'll bust your ass because they strong and athletic, but that's not the culture. The culture is community love and trying to build on what we building on and hard work.
oh,
You know what I'm saying? So you
something,
don't see them. You don't see
something.
them dudes coming over here. Now, I'm not saying they all perfect angels, let's get it twisted. But you don't see the emphasis on the Trump administration focusing on them.
Right,
And
and
Haiti right now got all the gangs popping off over there. They done killed the president. But they not bringing that over here. So
over here,
once Trump sees there's a respect level, he's like, okay, you know
they,
what? We're gonna get to y'all later, but
right
y'all
now,
rock out right now.
they're not
You
at the
dudes ain't got no respect. We coming for you.
right. That and that's what it is because again, like I have nothing against Africa, and I know I've spoken to quite a few of them, and they say, yo, what's wrong with you? One thing I respect about whether it's the Haitians or the Africans, and I got a lot of Haitians that I've worked with, I know whatever, and their cohesiveness as a unit is big. And it's always something that I've heard from several of them is like, yo, man, we don't really deal with them because y'all don't have no honor amongst yourselves. Y'all don't have no
Yeah.
loyalty amongst yourselves. So if y'all don't respect and have loyalty or honor amongst yourselves, what are you gonna offer me? Why would I want to befriend you? You dig?
Yo, that's real though. That's vertical talk.
It's facts. You dig? So yeah, but going back to your point, yeah, you're absolutely correct, man. They're not coming over here and creating all these violent instances, and they're not doing all this, like you say, the human trafficking, the raping of females on the street, so forth and so on. So
Yo, there
yeah,
was a dead body on the train the other day. Son went and did some horrendous stuff to it. It's like, yo, you know what I mean? Eventually, these type of Duke burned the woman on the train, like burned her alive. Like these type of things that you see. These are these are acts. Yeah.
Yo, put on a Tim on top of a Tim and put it dead in their asses back to the country they came from.
Yo, word the mother, Frankie.
That's my perspective. Put on one Tim, and if that's a size 13, then go get a 26 and put that Tim inside it and put it dead in their ass back to where they come from. You dig? Because at the end of the day, we got our own problems over here. So you dig? Like I respect the president of Venezuela. Like, yeah, we're not in the business of releasing, individuals. And again, it only makes it worse for individuals over here because the gangs over here are already being looked at as domestic terrorists. So if you got gangs coming from another country compounding the situation, how much worse?
Oh, that's exactly what happened in Chicago, Frankie.
How much worse is it going to get for the people, the members of, the United States?
You know what they started over there, Frankie? The Venezuelan disciples. So now they battling the black disciples, the gangster disciples. How long they been here in this country? Like, because I watched the council meetings where the Chicagoans get up there and they be giving it to the mayor. Because in New York, we talked about this the other day. You can't really do all that. They send the press in. You can't really talk to them. But they go straight in there and they let them know. Yo, my husband is a police officer. We see all the gang graffiti in the neighborhood, which we didn't see before. We see them coming over here, taking over areas, shooting us, hurting us, chasing us down, doing all these crazy things. And we're done with it. At the end of the day, we got our own problems to worry about. And guess what? The worst criminals in our community, besides the insane ones, they go after each other. They're not just picking out random women and little kids and doing all these crazy things. So at least our own crazy criminals still have some sense of morality or a certain standard of what they're gonna do and not do.
Right.
Yeah, these dudes ain't got no parameters.
It keeps so to speak. It keeps the violence down, so it contained. or confined into
Or at least
certain.
say, y'all go do what y'all do to each other. This can't just
Right.
be we spread it like peanut butter. Everybody could get it because I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, like
But
nah.
but like I was telling people, they when they come on the train, they be with their candy. I remember the kids used to come on the train with the candy. They do their little dancing. They do, yo, I'm raising money for my school. They do a little announcement and bop. You don't want to buy it, they out. These motherfuckers, yo, it be 50, 60 of us. So they stop at every single person. They look you in the eye. And I be watching them do it. And I'm like, damn, this is just a motherfucker like walking up to ATMs. You ain't even looking at human beings right now. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a different perspective that they have coming here for their economical development. They don't respect us. They don't care about us. They look at us as an ATM machine, and everybody got to give it up, and they're entitled to it because that's how Americans are. They're stupid, and they just let us do whatever we want. But they play dumb, and we play smart. But in the end, they're smart, and we do the dumb shit by giving them everything that they want. You know what I'm saying? It's an insane process, man.
That's not. I respect your sentiments, bro. Like I said, man. Every now and again, boy, you come right from a corner of my mind that I have to say, you know what, Nick, you hit that shit on the head. You dig? So with that, man, you dig? It's definitely a salute, man. But that's one of the reasons, man. I enjoy, you know what I'm saying, at times having you on the platform with me because like there's things that I haven't, you know what I'm saying, experience that you have, and you bring that light. But listen, man, we just living in a time, man, where even dude was asking me the other day concerning this thing right here because he was like, "Yo, man, this is getting ready to get crazy, man. Do you know how many of people are about to be lost if they start this situation with the president or the judicial system being able to send people to third world countries to do prison time?" And I'm like, "Yo, Playboy, that won't happen." He like, "Man, what you talking about?" I said, "Yo, homie, you know how hard it is to get an interstate agreement to send a person from one state to another in the United States?" And I know this fact because they actually have tried to do that with me, and they've done it to a number of individuals in the North Carolina Department of Corrections. You dig? So it's not just something, it's not a 1-2 thing. So you can only imagine what it would be like and the kind of slack they would get from organizations and families against United States citizens being transferred to third world countries where, number one, they don't respect the United States. So you can only imagine. Number two, you don't speak the language of that country.
Yeah, big problem.
Rough if even a person would even make it back from the kind of conditions. Because again, don't get it twisted. We got some official tissue. Well, I'm gonna say this. In this day and era, you got the remnants of some official tissue individuals. The remnants are the 50, 60-year-old dudes who came from that era in which, where there was no fear, like we were saying on one of the platforms the other day. In our era in the 60s and 70s, you had black militants. Even if your grandfather was part of the Panthers, he was around the era when the Panthers, a curriculum was being pushed, or whatever organization.
That black empowerment, baby.
The black empowerment era, correct. So our parents and grandparents of the 70s and 60s and on before, they had courage. You dig? And they wasn't afraid.
They had cojones,
They still had a level of cohesiveness, of solidarity, that they would come together to fight a common enemy or common negative situation that was
a threat. Yeah,
you dig? In this day and time, it doesn't exist. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. It's just so deep in the shadows, if it does exist, that I ain't seen it since. The last time I think I seen it was around maybe the George Floyd situation, and even those are to a degree where it's like
Well, the thing for me that it bothers me that the cohesiveness at times gets shown only within racially charged situations.
Facts.
Now, when son is over here blicking up the block, and so I told people this before when they was talking about that defund the police shit. I say, yo, word to my mother, most of you niggas is ass and pussy. So when your mother's got to go outside and your sisters, pardon me, Frankie, when y'all got to go out here and really police your community, You're not gonna do that because dudes tell you shut up in the corner store. So how the hell you gonna go out here and police your community and you talk about defund this and this can't be like that? So it's crazy when you don't see the cohesiveness for bringing the whole community together to stop the violence ultimately. You know what I mean? That's what I have to say.
Nah, that's a good point, bro. You dig? Like, and again, man, that's just what these forums like this is for, man. So yeah, brothers like us, black and brown, who are able to, dispute, convey, what I mean, and chop it up, man, and hopefully open up, the doors of
That third eye.
of other individuals, man, to want to join us, partake in it. You dig? Again, another reason that I say, yo, as my man, China Brim says, put it in the comments, man. You know what I mean? Like, write it out, man. We hear, we read it. We know. I'm gonna try to answer it to the best of my ability. As you know, what I'm saying, if you hear something and you can, dispute it or refute it and give me light, man, do that, man. You know what I mean? Let me know that. You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit more to something that I may be saying that that the people may need to hear or need to read, and so forth and so forth and so on. What I want to be with with this platform is engaging. I'm
on the phone, man.
I want to be engaging, and I want the individuals who join, or watch, to engage with me, to engage with the guests. So therefore, we make this not only fun and informative, but we make it
interactive.
We make it therapeutic for one another. You know what I mean? So that way, it's like, dang, I got vertical get ready, come on, or you know what I mean? Let me make these comments, and maybe it's something that may give him content later, or so forth and so on, because we got so many different things happening in the world that and there's not enough hours in a day for me, you, or any one of the
to cover it all. Yeah.
Cover it. So if what I'm saying, someone like Dice or someone like the Angie baby, or someone like, you dig what I'm saying, the GP,
Nikki baby, yeah,
Nikki
all of them, the ladies of TikTok, shout out all of them, they be in here.
We this is how we become cohesive. This is how we create a family of us for us. You know what I mean? A family of us for us, able to enlighten one another about topics that need discussion, topics that need individuals, if they're in a town near you or can get there, to pull up and support, and so forth and so on, man. That's the beginning of making things better, man. You know what I mean? For the posterity, man.
And the beautiful word you use, the beginning. Because a lot of people always want to cut corners. They want to jet set through things. They want to do all the other things they got to do, opposed to laying down the beginning, the foundation, understanding where the roots going to lie, who's the ones that came before us, understand your past, to understand your future, etc., and have some good brothers on the line like yourself and whoop-de-whoop, you know what I mean, to actually push the line and walk it like you talk it, because that's one thing that you're definitely doing, and I have to commend you about too. You walking it like you talk it, son. Word the mother.
Yo, I'm trying my best, bro, and I'll be the first to say, to keep my humbleness.
Nah, you ain't trying, Frankie. You doing it, because there's an acronym that I always tell people. Try is tomorrow's release yesterday. So don't try, Frankie, because you ain't trying. You doing it like Nike, baby. Tomorrow will never be yesterday.
I got a flip coin of that, brother. Trying is the first steps to success. Some of us don't.
Okay, Frankie.
Plateau of success. You dig? Because a lot of us like to say, yo, that's impossible. Yo, Nick, you can't do that. Yo, F, you can't do that. But impossible is just a big word with a small meaning to me. Because I'm the little train that 167 teacher used to tell me to read the book on. I know I can, I know I can, I know I can, and I know you can too if you put your mind to it. So everything that I'm doing in life right now, man, is me trying and striving to do something that I never did in life before. You dig? And that's have a different way of looking at things, a different perspective, and impetus, a driving force to do something other than what I was always conditioned to do or always used to doing. And
comfortable with then, yeah.
Comfortable with doing. So yeah, man, because I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna tell you, no lie. I ain't trying to go to no prison in El Salvador. I ain't trying to go to no prison.
What?
If that was to happen, I'm not trying to go. You dig? I done did
Frankie, Frankie, they got them piled up 80 in the cell in their drawers all day long. Yeah. You just in your drawers. 80 dudes, you gotta sit on your bed. There's one little thing you get to wash up in. There's rats and roaches in that motherfucker.
Hey,
Like
look,
it
man,
ain't,
listen,
it
man,
ain't nice.
hold up, Nick. You scared me, dog. You ain't gotta scare me no. I'm scared straight already. I ain't trying to go. So you ain't even gotta give no more
Hey!
concerning what they have. What I'm trying to say to the brothers, man, and what I was telling my man, that is remotely far from happening. Because it's too much that that will have to go. It won't happen. So for all those that may have heard that and how you said
Well, Trump said it. Because Trump is a crazy dude, man. And what
yeah,
I like about him is that he pushed the envelope. He'll say some shit to you to put some shit in your head, but then spin
absolutely,
back the other way. He's a spin master. So he said,
absolutely.
wouldn't it be great to send the people that decide to pick up a baseball bat and smash an old lady in the head for no reason? Wouldn't it be great to send them down there? I got to look into the laws and see what we could do. Wouldn't
You
it be
damn
great for the
right.
people that rip people's
Because you
fingernails
know
off
what?
and rape them in there?
Because you know what?
He instilled that fear in their ass.
Exactly, and he has so many different people in his cabinet that you dig what I'm saying can look into these things and stir the pot. So now exactly
When he say jump, they say how high.
warfare. One of the first fundamentals of psychological warfare is to do what? Instill fear.
Fear,
If you
factual and
instill fear,
actual.
40 to 50% of the battle is already won. Because now I got you discombobulated, you don't know how to think. So now all I got to do is come in that room and holler, and nigga, you jumping and time there.
Yeah, you running across the street, baby. You shook daddy.
Absolutely.
You scrambling like eggs on a Sunday morning, Frankie.
That's why when the police bust in your door, what they doing? A bunch of screaming. When they come for a shakedown inside of prison, what they doing? A bunch of screaming. It's to take you off for your thinking, your mindset, get you discombobulated. Oh, the pack may be right here. Instead of grabbing it, you went to run. You dig what I'm saying? So now
word to word to mother. Yeah, son. Yeah.
When you
Yeah,
know,
panic sets in. Panic, fear, and the mysteries of the universe, you ain't trying to find them out. Your ass out.
you out and not knowing that you just convicted yourself to at least 10 years by leaving that pack that you just left.
Right there. Word to mother. But you was so fucking scared you wasn't even thinking about nothing. And common sense and logic didn't exist on this island. You know what I'm saying?
I nigga 50 say, "What up, gangsta?" You dig? Cause all that
out the window. Yeah. All you saw was ass and elbows. Motherfuckers is out.
Listen, bro. Real talk, man. And it's just to say again, man. Like, yeah, truthfully, man. Little brothers and sisters, man. Become more mindful. Become more in tune. If you're gonna be the gangster, man, then man, get in the mirror. You did go hang out with other dudes that's just like you. So therefore, at least you could get the conditioning. So therefore, you not only know how to act, but you know what to do when you get caught in that gangster bull ass that you doing. You dig?
Word to mother.
That if you a gangster and you pride yourself every day of the week, every chick you run up on, your pants are sagging, you know what I mean? You got the junior and you got your face bent up like you constipated and shit. And as soon as they run down on you and you got that heater on you, and your man ran because he got a heat on him. You like, you chilling on where he went. Yo, he might have ran in that direction because you don't want to go to Central Bookings by yourself.
Misery love company when it gets crucial.
Yeah, facts. You dig? That old saying, yo, come out, man. We caught. Which mean we caught? Your man over there.
No, you caught, nigga.
They don't see him under the U-Haul truck. You talk about, you get ready to go to Venezuela.
No, come on, son. Come on, son.
You know there's a possibility you might be going to Costa Rica or Venezuela. You like, yo, son, get from under the U-Haul truck. We caught.
Yo, come on, Uncle Nick. Come on, man. Yo, hey, they weren't looking at me, motherfucker. They got your ass. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Uncle Nick, man. Take this little trip with me to Venezuela, nigga. Nah, son, I'm good, G. You gonna do that shit on your own, son. But yeah, man, it's definitely real. I like his perspective on what he's doing, and it's interesting about what we talked about on Sunday. Yo, I see nothing but videos and news articles coming out about cracking down on the homelessness, about the mentally ill in New York, about getting rid of this immigration situation that everybody basically getting this city back on a cohesive note. You know what I mean? So we're gonna see what happens. We got the mayoral election coming up. We got the governor election coming up, and I want to be front and center for all these things to actually be able to dictate and inform people and break things down on a informative level where people feel like, okay, I can make this decision consciously or make this decision consciously for who I think can lead us in the right direction. But I'm gonna tell you right now, in my opinion, we ain't got no good picks, straight up and down. But we ain't gonna get too political. But yeah, I'm gonna slide to the side now, Frank. I'm gonna get back into what I was doing. But why don't you take us up out of here, baby boy?
Hey man, it's always a pleasure, man. You dig? I definitely respect, the content. You dig? I respect and appreciate the people that came through, man. Salutes once again to the whole chat. Continue to support your boy, man. Continue to share, continue to comment, continue to hit that like button, continue to, get people or other people, man, to subscribe, man. You know what I mean? I'm definitely gonna continue to give y'all your money's worth or an earful. You dig what I'm saying? And yeah, man, let's keep coming back, and share whatever you may have. You dig what I'm saying? And we're gonna do it like we're doing it for TV each and every time because it's vertical that I'm coming, man. I'm vertical. You heard? So with that being said, man, this is your boy FB, man. Yo, Nick, man, give you your outing, man.
Yeah, man, like I like to tell people, man, be safe, be cool, be easy out here. Don't do anything stupid on the internet or in these fucking streets. Because motherfuckers will hold up that mirror and you will be content. You know what I'm saying? Just take care of your families, be safe, and follow your heart, man. You know what I'm saying? When people's over here talking all this extracurricular shit and this and that and bop, 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 boop, 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 man, you know how you really feel about things. Don't go against that feeling. If you want to go home, sit your ass on the couch and hang out with your girl because that's what's in your heart and you know that's the right thing to do, do it. Get away from these situations sometimes that might put you in a compromising position. And now, like you said earlier, you trying to play a role that ain't you. You know what I'm saying? And on that note, man, everybody stay blessed. And yo.
For y'all, man, work smarter, not harder, man. You know what I mean? And my saying is, man, I'd rather you love me. I'd rather you hate me for who I am than to love me for who I'm not. You dig?
Straight up.
Brooklyn. Big salutes to North Carolina. Big salutes to the United States of America. You heard? That's
yeah, son. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Let's push it like we push it. Again, man, salutes to my chat, to the brothers and sisters I left behind, man. I salute y'all, man. Continue to push, man, to be out here where we are, man, enjoying life, man, and enjoying the process of it. With that being said, we out of here, Nick.
One.
Fuck about.